Hey y'all, and welcome back. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to check out another one of my videos. And in today's video, I'm very excited to be sharing with you guys the 3 looks that I created with the new-ish Sigma and Alice in Wonderland palette. I picked it up as soon as it launched, but it's taken me a little while to get around to actually playing with it, just because I'm backed up with palettes and it's just been a little busy having a newborn. But nevertheless, even though this video is going to be coming out a little bit late, I hope you guys are still curious to hear my thoughts on it, and I was super excited to get to play around with it. I will go ahead and say up front, like, I'm not big into Alice in Wonderland, so I definitely didn't pick it up for that, but I've been wanting to try a Sigma palette for a long time, and not too long ago they updated their formula. Honestly, maybe by this point it's been a year or two. It's been a little while, but ever since they said they updated their eyeshadow palette formula, I've been curious to try one of their palettes, but they tend to release a lot of neutral palettes, so I've just been waiting for that perfect palette, and then this came out and I was like, okay, now's the time, because it's a really fun color story coming from Sigma Beauty, and I was so excited to finally get a hold of it and give Sigma Beauty eyeshadows a try. So in this video we're going to be going over 3 looks. I'm going to be talking with you through one of them, giving you guys my thoughts on the quality of it, and then I'm going to show you guys the other 2 looks that I created, and then we'll meet back here after all the eyeshadow looks are shown to you guys, and I'll give you guys my overall thoughts, opinions, and review for the Alice in Wonderland Sigma palette, or the Sigma Alice in Wonderland palette, however you say it. Okay, so I have primed my eyes with my Gerard Clean Canvas eyeshadow base. I am almost done with it. I can't believe it. I think that's my 2nd or 3rd time buying. I think just 2nd time buying one of them. You're also going to hear a little background noises because I am nursing Sophia right now, and hopefully nursing her to sleep so I don't have to do this the whole video. The palette does come with a little brush. I love this side of it. I don't know if it says it on here, but let's see. This is the E54 sweeper. I do really like this brush. And then this side is the E38 brush, which I actually like this better than the E40, so I was excited to see that they put this side on it because I don't like the E40 as much as I like that one. It's just a little bit more precise. Anyway, let's dive in. I'm gonna have to do this all one-handed, so bear with me. Oh yeah, and just random, I also picked up 2 other brushes with my order. I picked up the E33 brush. I think you guys can see it in there. I'll pull it out and use it in this look. And then the E27 brush. Both brushes I absolutely love. They're more precise. I don't hear very many people talking about them, you know, like when people talk about their favorite Sigma brushes, but they're both a little bit more precise, so I love them. Okay, so I've already done 2 looks. Gonna try to do something different just to try new things. I definitely know I want to try the silver on all over the lid, and I also want to try this pink. I'll worry about the shimmers when I get there. Let's go ahead and dive into the mattes. Again, I'm going to try to put the shades together that I haven't really, just to try to give you something different. So I'm going to take the Mad Hatter and I'm going to focus that on my inner corner just to get started, because I used that to blend out my outer corner before. So we're going to use it on the inner corner to give a nice pop. I'm going to use, like I said, mainly this shimmer, which is called Lost, on the outer corner, because I want to go really deep and dark, and the only the deepest shade in here is a shimmer, so we're going to use it on the outer corner. And then I'm going to use this shade, which is Caterpillar, and I want to use that to blend out here. So I think that'll look pretty. Anyway, I'm going to take the E33 brush, one of the brushes I picked up, along with this. Make sure I'm in focus, and then we're going to dive into that Mad Hatter shade. And we're going to press it on. I kind of like to press down just to get the bulk of the color where I want, and then we're going to start to blend. Oops, I was a little too messy there. Anyway, I'll buff it out. Blending this, I was really shocked. It has been a long time since I've tried Sigma. I'm pretty sure I'll say that in the intro as well, but it's been so long since I've tried a Sigma palette. I have been itching to, but I've just been waiting for the perfect one, and when I saw this palette I was like, okay, it's pretty colorful. I kind of missed the boat with that more grungy one, so I was kind of bummed at myself for not picking that one up. So I was like, I gotta pick this one up. I'm not into Alice in Wonderland, like, at all. I mean, I remember watching as a kid and being terrified of it because I thought it was scary, but I've never watched it since, so I didn't get it for that aspect of it, but I got it for the color story. Look at that, so effortless. I hope I'm not too bright. I will fix it in post because I can't really get up right now. And yeah, it's easier to add depth than to try to brighten up the video for me personally when I go to edit. But yeah, effortless to put this on and blend. Alright, really, really pretty. I'm going to take some just pointedly on that brush and try to just stick it right in here so you can get a teeny touch of depth right there. Not really too much, but it definitely is very easy to blend out and get a really nice diffusion of color out here. Yeah, just a gorgeous shade, nice and pigmented, no issues. So then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this double-sided brush that came with the palette, the what is this? E54 brush, and I'm going to use this to pick up that darkest shade, which is Lost. And I want to pack this on before putting the matte shade out here. I feel like that's going to help it really adhere, help the shimmer really stick down and adhere, and then hopefully if it's a good shadow, it shouldn't have an issue blending out, but we shall see. I just always feel like it's better to put the deepest shade that I want to really stick down and stay down first before I blend more on top of it. That is a pretty shade. I will say that like shimmer wise, it's not a ton of shimmer. There's a little bit of a sheen to it that you can definitely tell it's not like just a matte color, but it's not like super sparkly or, you know, kind of like an iridescent shade. It's got nice pigment to it, so it's a shade that I like for my outer corner. So I'm very happy to see that because like I said, I don't usually use shimmers on my outer corner, and if I do, like, I don't like when they're kind of see-through or just not opaque, because then it just looks, in my opinion, I don't like how it looks on that curve of my eye. And then also if it's like super sparkly, I don't know, I just like it to have a lot of nice depth out there, and this has a lot of nice depth. And again, went on super easy, no issues like packing that on, building it up. Tiny bit of fallout, but not bad. And it's got a nice little sparkle when I turn. Not terrible though, and it's not like overwhelming. So I actually don't mind the little sparkle that it has. Okay, moving right along, I'm gonna flip it over and take that E38? Yeah, E38 brush, and we're gonna pick up Caterpillar, that other dark kind of blue in the palette. I'm going to pick up just a touch because I don't want this to get too dark on my outer corner, but I'm going to use this to blend out that dark shade and blend it into what I have going on in my crease. We'll pack it right on that line and then work to buff up from there. Might have brought that first shade a little too far over, but I bet I can just build it up and kind of mesh the two right here to make sure it doesn't get lost. Yeah, these mattes, I mean, I've only used 2 in this video, but obviously I've used more doing all the previous looks, the 2 previous looks, but they are just nice and pigmented, but like very effortless and beautiful to blend. I am pleasantly surprised. Not that I was expecting it to be terrible. Like I've said, I've tried Sigma shadows before, but I feel like oftentimes brands, especially if they do more neutral, sometimes can struggle a little bit when creating a colorful formula. But this is like I said, no issues. Very nice and blendable, very beautiful. I'm just going slow and taking my time because I want to make sure I give it a nice and effortless diffusion, and I feel like I always struggle on my outer corner. But that's a me problem, not a palette problem. But yeah, very beautiful. I'm going to take a clean brush. That's something I'm trying to remind myself to do more. This is probably, oh, this is the E38 too. Okay, we're just going to take this brush. I thought it was the E40. I'm just going right on that line above where I stopped with the color and just buffing more. There we go. That's a little bit more like a very soft diffusion, so it's not like a hard line where the color stops, because I just find it annoying if I can't get that diffusion really nice and effortless looking. So yeah, beautiful. Where it meets with the dark shimmer, I do feel like it's still a pretty intense, not intense, but an obvious line. So I'm going to tap on right on top of that line more of the matte blue, and I'm just tapping, and I feel like that is taking care of that line all by itself. I was prepared to go back in with the black shimmer just to help mix and mesh the two, but honestly, that took care of that. I feel like that's a really nice, very soft diffusion from like the dark black all the way out to this lighter blue. So I'm happy with that. Let me catch this side up and burp this little girl. Okay, so she's pretty much asleep. I'm going to give her a minute before I lay her in her bed. So I'm going to do one more step with you guys. This is the E36 brush, another fantastic brush from Sigma that I love. I'm going to pick up some of that shimmer Lost, that dark shimmer that we used. I'm going to just put it on the tip there. Try to do this nicely, even though I'm using my left hand and I'm not left-handed. But I just wanted to bring a little bit of that depth into the crease. Oh, I could use the blue. The dark blue will do it too, because this shade I use, I'm going to tap into that Caterpillar too, because the shade on my inner corner is the lightest one, the lightest blue-green shade. I just want to bring a little bit of depth. Probably not doing as good as I could do if I was using my other hand because I'm right-handed, but trying here. Not too bad. Just to give a little bit of depth. I don't even know if you guys can see a difference here. I really hope I'm not too washed out. I'm going to kick myself when I go to edit, but I think it's okay. I'll check it after I sit back down if I can get her to bed successfully. But yeah, just gives a little bit more depth, as like there's nothing, no depth in here. Just a hint of it there, and I like that. Okay, so never mind. I still have Sophia. I went to get up and put her to sleep. I walked by a mirror and her eyes were wide open, so she just was acting like she was sleeping. So I'm gonna wait a little while longer to put her down. But anyway, I'm gonna use the F70 brush. This is a concealer brush. I love it for eyeshadow. It applies it so well, and I do want to take that Cheshire shade, that shade right there, and we're gonna do it left-handed because she switched sides and now she's nursing on my right, so let's hope I can do this good enough. But I want to put it over most of my lid. I think I might just leave the very inner portion for that gray. I had to send my mirror that I usually use, which is the Simple Human mirror. I love that mirror. It was very expensive. But it all of a sudden just would not turn on anymore. And I tried charging and everything. I only bought it a couple years ago. I think 2, maybe 2? I can't remember exactly. Man, she is filling her drawers. I hope it stays all in there. Anyway, so I'm using an old mirror that has no light and does not have the beautiful magnification that the Simple Human one does. And I am not enjoying it. But I'm curious to see how their customer service and warranty and all that works out to be. This is a gorgeous shade. I did put down a glitter primer. I used the NBA glitter adhesive serum, but that went on so beautifully. I'm gonna pull this over a little bit more, and then I'll probably just blend a little bit more of that dark on top. That's very pretty. Let me catch this side up. I really need to, hang on real quick. Let me go ahead and get rid of some of this fallout. Yep, dust away. Doesn't look like any stuck down, so that's good to know too. All right, I am back, and I completed the other eye so we can catch it up, or catch this eye up on camera, because I kept having to stop for her to finish going to the bathroom, and by that time I was like, well, let me go ahead and change you before this all comes out. And then when I sat back down, I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and just finish this eye up so I don't have to turn the camera off again while I do this eye. So we're gonna finish off on this side. She's over here just sitting in a little chair because changing her diaper woke her up. Something that I did differently, or I'm going to do differently than I anticipated, is I finished putting all the pink all over the lid, because on this side, as you can see, I put some of that silver, but the silver is much more of like, maybe if I packed down with my finger I could get that silver, but with your brush on top of another shade like this, it doesn't really want to be that opaque. It's much more of a toppery type of shadow, so that's how I'm going to be treating it. So I'm just going to go on top, yeah, and spread this out just to lighten it up a little bit. Oh, can I speak? Like that, instead of trying to make it like super silver, because like I said, I even grabbed my little sponge tip applicator. Oh no! That was short-lived, to see if I could tap it on, but even there, it like does a little bit better, but probably not as much as just getting a tacky base. That's another thing. I'm trying to put this on top of another shadow. Okay, that was short-lived. But anyway, I'm sure if I use like a glitter primer and then pack down with my finger, or even a sponge tip applicator, it would show up a lot more of like the silver that you see right there. But trying to put it on top of another shadow, not having that tacky base with this brush, I just can't get that opaque of a look. So I don't know, I just want to try that silver and see what it was like, because in the other two looks I only used it as my inner corner highlight, which it is a gorgeous inner corner highlight. But let's go ahead and finish up from here. I took a little bit of, where's my brush? Yeah, what are you talking about? A little bit more of that Lost shade, which is the darkest, and I'm just going to use it to kind of mesh these two together, which they meshed gorgeously, beautifully on the other side, probably because they both are a shimmer. And I'm sorry if I have very weird hand motions right now, because I'm like, gotta think extra hard whenever I have to use my non-dominant hand. I am definitely not very gifted at being able to use both. What is that called? Ambidextrous. So anyway, I'm just going back in with a little bit pink, like I like to do, go back and forth until I like them both. But they both blend into each other really nice. And yeah, there we go. Oops, wrong side. Like that. So now I actually forgot to use one of my new brushes, so I'm going to use on my lower lash line. This is the E27 brush. I really do like that. I really do like this type of brush, but before I do that, I'm going to go into that, again, the same brush that I used for my darkest shade. I'm going to go into that darkest shade, Lost. It works really nicely at running it under here. I could be a little bit more, like it would take me a little less time if I used a more precise brush, but I already have this one dirty. And it's just taking a little bit longer because, again, I'm doing it left-handed. I'm going to go into the lighter shade first, which is Mad Hatter. And I'm going to blend right here. This shade, I noticed it not, like, almost looking a little patchy when I'm trying to blend it on my low... I just dropped my brush. On my lower lash line on like a powdered base, because I always set my under eyes. And I feel like if I really, I mean, not patchy, but it's thin, very, very thin. But, you know, on top of the lid when I did up there, it was very opaque. So I think maybe that's why I noticed the difference. But anyway, I'm just taking that darker, what is it called? Caterpillar, same brush. Just going to connect it back. But just something to know if you're someone who like sets your brush or your eyelids and maybe this palette isn't working for you. Maybe that has something to do with it, because like I said, it looks a little sheared. It's not terrible. I take back my words when I said patchy. I feel like that definitely gives off the wrong impression. It's not patchy. It just, in comparison to what I have up here, it looks sheer. So something to keep in mind. Where is my brush? Oh, I put it away. Of course. I'm going to sweep off all this on my lower lash line. You're a very loud eater. And now I'm going to put what's in my waterline, which I use the Odin's Eye. What shade is this? 001, I guess. This hot pink in my waterline. I'm going to wing out my wing. I'm going to draw on my wing. I don't know what you call it. Oh, let me go ahead and do my inner corner highlight. And I'm just going to take that silver because it's a great shade. Or should I take the blue? You know what? Let's do it. This is Alice. No, it's too dark. No, no, no. We're going to just do White Rabbit, that silver. That's what I've used in all three of these looks, or that I will use. I guess you guys haven't seen the first two, but it's really pretty. Great inner corner shade. Not too like chunky, not too like glittery. Especially using this little brush, this little sponge tip applicator. It kind of presses it right down in my inner corner and gives off a lot of shine. So I'm very happy with that for an inner corner shade. I don't know if I'd especially want to use it again for all over the lid, unless, like I said, I used a glitter base and then I used either this tiny brush, which would take forever all over my lid, or my finger and pressed it on. It really got this shade, because this shade looks very pretty. But anyway, that's going to be the look. Let me go ahead and finish out my my eye, and then we'll go ahead and transition over to the close-up final looks, and then from there we're going to roll right into the other two looks that I did with this palette, and then we'll meet back at the end to talk about my thoughts, overall thoughts and review for this palette. so now it is time for my review, but before I dive into that, I just want to say these Kaleidos liquid lipsticks, this is in the shade Dune that I'm wearing. I think I'm in love. Like, I really enjoy liquid lipstick, and they tend to have like a certain, I tend to like very certain kinds. Like, there's a lot of ones I don't like. They're too thick, they, crack, they, don't last, they're sticky. But this is like the most comfortable, yet moussey. Like, it's not too thin, but it's not too thick. It's super comfortable, and the wear away, like how it wears away off my lips, is so flattering. I think I'm in love. But anyway, that has nothing to do with this video. I just had to say, because I've been using their liquid lipsticks a lot. They sent me like 8 of them. I've been using them a lot, and I'm just like blown away with how much I like them. So anyway, let's get to the review for the Sigma Alice in Wonderland palettes, and overall quality-wise, A++. I am very, very impressed with the quality of their formula. Both the mattes and the shimmers are very nice. I really like and prefer and am in love, I guess you could say, with the matte formula. Not in love, that's a little bit extreme, but I really like the matte formula. As you guys saw, like, they blend out so smoothly. They're very pigmented. They're very easy to use. They're very easy to mesh together. They're just gorgeous to work with. Their matte formula just stands out to me as being so, so nice. Their shimmers are very nice too. Now, they don't blow me away, but that's not to say that they're bad at all. Like, I don't want you to interpret that as me not liking their formula. I think their formula is very nice. It just doesn't blow me away as much as like some other of my favorite formulas when it comes to shimmer shadows do, but it's very nice. And this Tea Party is definitely my favorite because it's got a lot of sparkle to it. It has a lot of impact with the color, and overall it's just a very pretty shadow, and it's green. You guys know me. But there are a couple shades in here that are just a little bit more almost like a satin, but not quite a satin. Like this Alice shade, it's just very, very subtle. It's a very, very subtle type of shimmer. And also too with the Lost, I use it in this look, and it's got a lot of impact to it when it comes to the color, but the actual sparkle is very, very soft. So it has a couple of those formulas, and it overall, the majority of the shimmers in here I feel like are more on the subtle side and just a very flattering, easy to wear type of shimmer, with 2 of them, Tea Party and White Rabbit, having a little more impact to them when it comes to the sparkle. Across the board, they're all very pretty and easy to work with. I think the only one that was maybe not my preference when it comes to a formula is White Rabbit, because like you guys saw in the look, it's more of a sheer topper when you're trying to use it with other shadows, but it's a gorgeous inner quarter highlight, so I like using it for that. So as a whole with this palette, it's got a nice formula that I thought was very nice, definitely worth the price. Quality of the palette also is very nice. Overall, very pleased with that. Getting to the color story, I think that's where it's just doesn't like blow my socks off. Like, I love the formula, I love the looks that I created so far, but when I sit here and look at it and I'm like trying to think of like what other looks I'm excited to create with this palette, that's where I'm a little bit lost, just because when I really focus on the mattes in here, it's like, what can I put together? I don't know. I'm gonna have to continue playing with it, and you guys will see in the future Palapalooza my final thoughts and how many looks I was able to get with it. But now that I've done 3 looks, I'm looking at it and just a little bit uninspired when I'm looking at the color story, trying to think of what else I can put together on my eyes that's gonna be different and exciting and just, I don't know, very pretty, and it gets me excited when I leave my makeup table, that type of thing. Like, this look is absolutely beautiful. I really do like it. I love the blend out that I got going to my brow bone. I feel like it's a very, very nice blend. Overall, very beautiful, but as far as like inspiration when it comes to this palette, that's where I think it's going to be lacking just a little bit for me. Me personally, this is definitely a me thing. Like, if you see the color story and you like it, just know the formula is outstanding. I absolutely love the formula that you find in this palette, so that's all you need to know. But for me personally, when I'm looking at it, it's like, what else do I want to do with this? I don't know. Like, I feel like there's other palettes I have that I've been playing with that I'm more inspired to continue creating looks with than with this, if that makes sense. That's the only, like, literally the only downside I can see with this palette so far for me is that aspect of the color story. I also really like that you get a brush with this palette. I used it during this tutorial that you guys see on my eyes, and both ends of this brush, I really, really like them. I kind of don't love double-sided brushes. However, I'm going to make an exception because this brush is beautiful, and like I said, I like both sides of it. So that's nice. And not only do they include a double-sided brush, but the quality of the brush is just the same as what you find with their other brushes. And their other brushes are rather expensive unless you catch it in a sale and whatnot. Like, they're nice quality, not super expensive like Sonia G, but they're also not like e.l.f. prices. So I really appreciate that they keep the quality of their eyeshadow brushes like the same as their standard ones that you can buy by themselves, and they include it in a palette. I feel like that's got a lot of value to it right there. Even if you don't keep it with the palette, which I'm honestly never going to keep it with the palette. But just to have this and add these two brushes to your arsenal, I feel like you can get a easy like one and done type of eye look just with this one brush. You got something to pack on, shimmer, matte, whatever the case is. I've used it for both. With this side, it works great. And then to blend out, it's a nice little precise blending brush. So overall, those are my thoughts on this palette. I will be curious to hear what you guys think of this palette. Did you pick it up? Are you curious to get it? Are you planning to get it? Are you waiting for a sale? I always say wait for a sale. Sigma is definitely a brand that has a lot of sales when it comes to their eyeshadow brushes or their palettes, but I'm just super excited to finally try one of their recent palettes because I'm always raving and recommending their eyeshadow brushes. I absolutely love them. I've had some of them for, gosh, must be going on 8, 9, maybe even 10 years by now, and I've never had a Sigma brush like fall apart. Not that I can remember, at least. I think the only brushes that I've ever had like actually fall apart are like e.l.f. and I had a cosmetics brush fall apart, but they replaced it for me, which was awesome. But yeah, Sigma brushes, I can't ever remember having an issue with them, and I've owned some of them a very long time. So I'm super excited that I can finally add their eyeshadow palettes to my recommendation kind of list. If you guys ever ask me like, what from Sigma do you recommend? This eyeshadow palette is fantastic. The formula that they have going is very, very good, especially for their mattes. I really do like all the mattes that I found in this palette. So that's gonna do it for my 3 looks 1 palette review video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and found it helpful, informative, or just fun and entertaining to listen to if you're not at all, you know, interested in picking up the palette and just were wanting to see me create some looks. I hope you guys enjoyed them, and yeah, don't forget to follow me over on Instagram. I'm LadyKatie92 over there, and I post reels, up close eye pictures, all that sort of thing. I try to do swatches of palettes and whatnot, so check me out over there if you are at all interested. And with all that said, I'll see you guys very soon in my next video. Bye guys.